Before the story begins, if you enjoy epic HFY sci-fi tales, where humanity's compassion hides terrifying power, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more sci-fi fans across the galaxy. Now let's begin. The smell of sterilized air and ozone clung to Eli Ward's skin long after his shift ended. On the galactic hospital vessel Sanctum 9, the day never truly ended. Someone was always screaming, bleeding, or dying in a dozen alien tongues, and Eli, the only human nurse stationed there, was always the one who stayed calm when everyone else lost their nerve. He moved through the med bay with quiet precision, gloved hands steady as he adjusted the drip for a Velcaran soldier, its translucent skin rippling like oil. The creature's eyes, black and endless, followed him with strange reverence. "Human," it rasped through a translator collar, "you heal without fear." Eli offered a small smile. "Fear doesn't help anyone heal." The soldier tilted its head. "Strange species, you bleed empathy." He didn't respond. Compliments from battle-born aliens were rarely gentle. They were warnings disguised as admiration. Still, he liked helping them, warriors, smugglers, even assassins, because for all their teeth and claws, pain made them equal. The medbay lights dimmed slightly as the ship cycled power. Eli glanced toward the ceiling. The Sanctum 9 was old, patched together from at least 4 decommissioned war frigates. It groaned when it moved like an old man complaining about gravity. He'd grown used to the noise, just as he'd grown used to alien blood on his hands and laughter echoing through alien lungs. When his shift finally ended, Eli logged his reports and crossed the quiet corridor to the comm room. The door hissed open, and the blue light of the hologram console filled the space. His heart lifted when the signal stabilized. Saran's face flickered into view. "Hey, Starshine," she greeted, her voice soft, tired, but still warm. Eli smiled. "Rough day on your end too? You have no idea." She brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead. Behind her, faint lights pulsed in rhythmic patterns, a workroom full of servers or data nodes. She never said exactly what she did, just that she was systems engineering for planetary logistics. He never pressed. Everyone needed secrets out here. "I patched up a Velcaran today," he said, lowering himself into the chair. "Didn't think they trusted humans." "They don't," she replied, half smiling. "But you make people trust you. Even monsters." He chuckled. "You call them monsters. I call them patients." She tilted her head. "That's why they fear you, Eli. No one knows what to do with kindness when they've only known power." He frowned slightly. "You sound like you're talking about something else." Saran hesitated, eyes darting to something off-screen. "Maybe I am. Listen, if anything strange happens on that ship, anything, you call me immediately. That's vague advice even for you." "I mean it," she said, the tone sharper now. "You'll think it's just static in the comms or system flickers, but it's not. Promise me." Eli nodded, sensing a depth in her voice that unsettled him. "I promise." Her hologram softened again. "Good. Now tell me something human before I go drown in work." He laughed, thinking for a moment. "Fine. I miss you. And I haven't seen sunlight in 6 months." She smiled, genuine this time. "Then I'll bring the sunlight next time I see you." The hologram flickered once, twice, and vanished. Eli leaned back, exhaling slowly. He'd learned to live with the ache of distance, but sometimes it caught him off guard. He rubbed the small metal locket at his chest, a gift from Saran. Inside was her image frozen mid-laugh, recorded from their last day on Earth. He'd give anything to see that smile in person again. A faint vibration trembled through the deck. Not the usual hum of engines, something sharper, off-rhythm. Eli frowned and tapped the console. "Sanctum, run diagnostics on current power flow." The AI chirped in a metallic tone. "Minor fluctuation detected in section D3. Cause, external interference." External? Possible signal echo. No threat detected. He didn't like that phrasing. Signal echoes didn't make bulkheads tremble. Still, the medbay alarms weren't flashing and Captain Ryan hadn't called for emergency triage, so Eli forced himself to relax. Maybe he was just tired. He returned to his quarters, a small cell-like space with a cot, a locker, and a viewport that showed a sliver of distant starlight. He sat on the edge of the bed, unlaced his boots, and stared out at the slow drift of asteroids outside the ship. They looked peaceful, but Eli had learned that peace in space was always temporary. He set the locket on the table and whispered, "You're working too hard again, aren't you, Saran?" No answer, of course. Just the soft hum of life support and the throb of the ship's pulse. Minutes later, he was halfway to sleep when his terminal blinked. A soft tone. Encrypted message received. He frowned. Only Saran sent encrypted transmissions, but this code wasn't hers. He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and opened it. Lines of alien script scrolled across the screen, glitching between languages before settling into standard. Healer marked. Orders confirmed. The human dies quietly. His breath caught. The message vanished as suddenly as it appeared. The terminal went black. He stared at the dark screen, heart pounding. Then the ship lights flickered again, this time longer. A low, electric growl rolled through the hull. He stood, every nerve alive. Sanctum? No response. He crossed to the viewport. Outside, the stars shifted, small, darting shadows moving between the asteroids. Too deliberate. Too coordinated. Eli felt the first pulse of real fear, sharp and cold, crawling up his spine. He grabbed the locket again, clutching it like an anchor. "Saran," he whispered, though she couldn't hear him. "Something's wrong." Another vibration hit, stronger now. The ship's emergency lights snapped red. Across the corridor, sirens began to wail. Eli could hear movement, boots, claws, maybe both, scraping against metal. He turned toward the medbay door. Instinct told him to run, but training made him grab his medkit instead. If someone was hurt, he had to help. Always help first. He forced the door open, stepping into a corridor swallowed by red light and shadows. For a long moment the ship felt alive, breathing, waiting. Then far down the hall something moved. A figure. Tall. Armored. Eyes burning blue. Eli's heart slammed once in his chest. He didn't understand who they were or why they were coming for him, but in that instant he knew the Sanctum 9 was no longer a place of healing. And whatever this was, it had found him. He exhaled slowly, backing into the medbay and locking the door behind him. "Okay," he muttered, voice shaking. "You wanted me to call you if something strange happened." He hit the comm link to Saran's private channel. Static answered. "Saran?" No reply. Only a distant, rhythmic sound through the ship's metal frame, like claws tapping a warning. The lights flickered once more, and the message that had vanished returned for half a heartbeat on his terminal, glowing like a wound. "Healer located." Then it disappeared again. And outside something began cutting through the door. The first slice of molten metal hit the floor with a hiss, and the air filled with the acrid scent of burning alloy. Eli pressed his back against the medbay counter, every muscle trembling as sparks showered from the door's edges. Whoever, or whatever, was on the other side wasn't breaking in quietly. He scanned the room with frantic precision. The medbay was sterile and bright, filled with equipment meant to heal, not defend. Still, he gathered what he could: a sterilizer wand, a plasma injector, a portable shield emitter designed for radiation leaks. His hands moved automatically, the way they did when stopping a patient from bleeding out. Except this time, the wound was reality itself tearing open at the door. A deep vibration pulsed through the walls as the final section of the door gave way. It fell forward with a metallic groan, revealing three figures in matte black armor. Their movements were liquid, predatory, and silent except for the low hum of their suits adjusting pressure. Each carried a blade forged from dark plasma, and their helmets reflected the medbay's harsh light in pale blue streaks. Eli froze. His breath came shallow, the sound loud in his ears. The lead intruder stepped forward, helmet tilting slightly, scanning him. When it spoke, the voice was filtered and hollow. "Target confirmed. Human. Designation Eli Ward." He wanted to run. Every instinct screamed for it. But behind him were rows of recovery pods, each holding injured patients who couldn't move, Velcarans, Mector, even a pair of fragile human settlers. If he fled, they'd die before they even understood why. He swallowed hard and forced his voice steady. "This is a medical facility. No one here is armed. Whatever you want, it doesn't have to involve them." The lead assassin's response was almost curious. "Orders specify your termination only. Collateral is acceptable." The smallest of the trio moved suddenly, slicing open a pod's life support cables. Alarms shrieked, lights flared red, and a faint mist filled the room. Eli didn't think. He reacted. He slammed the sterilizer wand into the assassin's wrist. A flash of blue light erupted, searing through the alien's armor. The creature howled and staggered back. The others turned instantly, blades raised. Eli dove behind a table, pulling the wounded alien's broken respirator tube from its socket. He jammed it into the plasma injector and hit the trigger. A narrow beam of white fire hissed across the room, grazing one assassin's chest plate. The armor sizzled, then cracked. The room erupted into chaos. Alarms, smoke, and the metallic clang of boots on deck. Eli's shoulder burned where shrapnel had sliced him, but adrenaline numbed the pain. He wasn't a soldier, but years of triage under fire had taught him how to move fast and think faster. The assassins adapted quickly. They fanned out, herding him toward the wall. The lead one spoke again, voice calm and almost respectful. "You resist. Unexpected." Eli's grip tightened on the injector. "You picked the wrong nurse." He grabbed a tray of biofoam canisters and hurled them at the floor. The chemicals ignited, sending up a brief cloud of choking vapor. Using the smoke as cover, he dashed toward the emergency terminal, slamming his palm onto the distress key. The console beeped once and then died. The assassins had cut power. "Manual override," he muttered, tearing open the panel beneath. Wires sparked, smoke curled. He could bypass this, he had to. But a heavy footstep behind him froze his hands. The lead assassin was close now. Eli could see the reflection of his own pale, terrified face in the creature's visor. "You are marked human," it said quietly. "Your death protects the balance." Eli's voice broke through clenched teeth. "Balance of what?" No answer. The blade lifted. Then the ship roared. Gravity lurched sideways as if the universe had been tilted. Equipment slid, glass shattered, and both Eli and the assassins slammed into the far wall. The lights flickered, flashing between red and white. Over the chaos, a voice boomed through every comm system on the ship, calm, cold, and unmistakably human. "Unauthorized intrusion detected. Engaging planetary defense override." The assassins froze. Eli blinked through blood and confusion. That voice, he knew it. The air changed. Every metallic surface vibrated faintly as if listening. One of the assassins tried to move, but their armor suddenly convulsed, plates twisting inward like something alive was crushing it from the inside. The alien screamed, a raw, gurgling sound, and collapsed. The other two staggered back, weapons raised toward the ceiling as if the attack came from above. "Who is that?" one hissed. "What power commands this vessel?" The voice returned, quieter now, resonant and cold. "You trespassed on my reach." The second assassin tried to run. The medbay doors sealed shut before he reached them. A high-pitched whine filled the air, and his armor split open down the center, revealing pale, scaled skin underneath. His body hit the floor without sound. Eli pressed himself against the counter, his heart pounding like thunder. The only one left was the leader, who turned slowly toward him. Beneath the visor, two slitted eyes glowed faintly. "You are protected," it said, disbelief dripping through its mechanical tone. "By whom?" The comm speakers crackled again and Eli's world tilted a second time, not from motion but realization. The voice that answered wasn't the ship's AI. It wasn't the captain. It was Saran. "By me," she said. The assassin hesitated only a moment before lunging. Eli didn't see the strike, he only saw light, pure, blinding light, flood the medbay. The air itself screamed as the assassin's armor disintegrated mid-motion, its body evaporating before it hit the ground. The noise died. The light faded. The room went still except for the faint hum of emergency systems trying to restart. Eli stood motionless, every nerve buzzing. Smoke curled from the edges of the destroyed door. The medbay was wrecked, scorched walls, shattered equipment, and silence heavy enough to feel solid. Then her voice returned, softer now, trembling with emotion. "Eli, are you hurt?" He blinked at the comm speaker, disoriented, voice shaking. "Saran? How did you do that?" Her answer came with a pause that carried a weight he didn't yet understand. "You need to listen carefully. This attack wasn't random. They came for you because of me." He pressed a hand to his bleeding shoulder, the locket warm against his skin. "You're not just some systems engineer, are you?" Another silence. Then quietly, "No. Not exactly." The ship's internal lights stabilized, revealing the destruction around him. In the reflection of shattered glass, Eli saw himself, bloodied, shaking but alive. Around him lay three burned shadows where assassins had stood moments ago. He didn't know what Saran was yet or why her voice had turned war machines into ghosts, but he knew one thing with absolute clarity. Someone, somewhere, had just made a mistake attacking a human loved by her. And the galaxy was about to find out how big a mistake that was. "Tell me what's happening," he said. "I will," she answered softly. "But not over this channel. I'm bringing you home." The comm cut out, leaving only the faint hum of the ship and Eli's ragged breathing. He stared at the destroyed medbay, the air still crackling faintly with residual energy, and knew nothing about his life would ever be ordinary again. The medbay smelled of ozone and smoke. Eli stood among the wreckage, half leaning against the counter, blood drying along his sleeve. The silence that followed the chaos was so complete it hurt. He could hear only the faint hum of the ship's emergency core struggling to stay alive. 3 assassins were gone, obliterated by something that defied logic, and the sound of Saran's voice still rang through his mind. He forced his hands to stop trembling long enough to activate the nearest terminal. Its screen flickered, cycling through corrupted data, then snapped to life under a new command line written in pale blue text. Incoming priority transmission, origin, Earth Central Network. Her face appeared before the words finished loading. Saran, but not the woman he remembered. The soft-spoken engineer was gone. This Saran's hair was braided tight against her head, her eyes glowed faintly with light that wasn't reflected, and a crown of thin silver threads pulsed from a neural interface across her temples. Behind her stretched a panoramic view of orbiting defense satellites, each one burning with blue power. "Eli," she said, and even her voice carried new weight, an echo of machine precision beneath the human tone. "I need you to listen. You're in danger, but you're also now part of something much larger than either of us." He sank into the nearest chair, still breathing hard. "You killed 3 assassins remotely from halfway across the galaxy. You think I'm not listening?" A faint flicker of guilt crossed her face. "I didn't want you to see that side of me. Not like this." "Then what side was that, Saran? Because I'm starting to think I never knew you at all." She hesitated, then turned slightly, allowing him to see the vast array of holographic data screens surrounding her. Maps of planets, defense grids, orbital fleets, all glowing under her command. "My official title," she said quietly, "is Operator of Earth. I am linked directly to the planetary network. I manage defense systems, communication nodes, satellite intelligence, everything that keeps our world alive." The words didn't sink in immediately. They hovered in the air, too heavy to process. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "you control Earth's defense grid?" "I am the defense grid," she replied. "The operator is a living interface. When I connect, Earth moves when I think. Every orbiting platform, every planetary shield, every weapon array, they respond to me." Eli's throat tightened. "And you hid that from me. If anyone knew you were my husband," she said, voice trembling, "you'd be the easiest way to control me. They would take you, threaten you, use you to make me open our systems. You were supposed to be safe out there, far from all this." He stared at her image, the distance between them suddenly vast in more ways than light years. "So the assassins were sent to draw me out," she finished. "The Vokrath assassins answer to the coalition of Veil worlds. They've been trying to breach Earth's core systems for years. When their spies learned I had a human partner stationed off-world, they found their leverage. They expected me to do nothing while they erased you." Her composure faltered for a moment. The steel in her expression cracked, revealing the woman he knew. "I couldn't let that happen, Eli. Not you." He swallowed hard, feeling the conflicting churn of anger and understanding. "You could have told me. I would have understood. You would have tried to protect me," she said. "And they would have noticed." The terminal buzzed softly, new data streaming across its edge. She glanced off-screen and frowned. "I don't have long. The assassins weren't working alone. Their ship transmitted before it was destroyed. The signal was brief, but enough to alert others. Reinforcements are moving." "Reinforcements?" he echoed, feeling the word like a weight. "Yes. A strike fleet." Her eyes flicked toward him again. "Eli, I'm overriding your ship's navigation. I'll guide you to the nearest secure channel and extract you through a quantum relay. Once you're out, I can deal with the rest." "Deal with them how?" Saran's gaze hardened. "However I must." He shook his head. "You can't just start a war because of me." Her silence said everything. The thought had already crossed her mind. "Saran," he said firmly, "listen to me. I've seen what you can do now. You can end whole fleets without blinking, but that's not who you are. You fix things. You build. Don't let them turn you into a weapon just because they tried to use me as bait." Her jaw clenched. "They tried to kill you. I'm done pretending restraint is a strength." "Then remember who you're fighting for," he said quietly. "You married a nurse, not a soldier. If I can keep healing in a place like this, you can choose not to destroy everything you touch." The words hung there between them, cutting through the static. For a long moment she said nothing. Then, softly, "You always were the better half of humanity." The terminal's lights flickered again. A new alarm began flashing across her background, red, urgent. "They're jamming the relay. I'll have to activate a local defense node manually. I can't maintain the link from here." Saran. Her hologram wavered. I'm transferring control of the sanctum to emergency protocol under my authority. You'll see something unusual in a moment. Don't fight it. It's on your side. The connection broke before he could reply. The medbay's lights dimmed, then surged back with eerie brightness. Every panel on the walls began displaying synchronized streams of code. The AI voice of the Sanctum 9 spoke, but now it carried Saran's rhythm, her inflection. Eli, it said, guidance mode engaged. Remain where you are. He stood slowly. Saran. I'm here, said the ship, her voice layered through every speaker. For now. The floor vibrated as hidden defense turrets rose from the walls. Systems Eli had never known existed on a hospital ship. Across the viewport, faint blue streaks appeared against the void, growing brighter. Dozens of ships were approaching, sleek, blade-like silhouettes sliding through the dark. Those aren't patients, Eli muttered. No, Saran's voice replied through the ship's AI, colder now. They're the ones who thought I could be broken. He looked at the incoming swarm, then back at the wrecked medbay, the reality of his situation finally settling into his bones. His wife wasn't an engineer. She was the operator of Earth, the single most powerful mind in human civilization, and the galaxy had just declared war on her. He pressed his hand to the locket, feeling its faint warmth. You said you'd bring me home. Her voice softened, even through the metallic resonance of the AI. I will. But first I have to show them what home can do. Outside the viewport, the stars shifted again. One by one, points of light began to burn brighter, Earth's hidden satellites awakening in answer to her command. And for the first time, Eli understood why the galaxy feared humanity. He took a slow breath, steadying himself as the ship trembled beneath his feet. Then let's show them. Saran's reply was quiet but unyielding. Stay alive, Eli. The Hunter protocol is coming online. The transmission faded, leaving only the pulse of gathering energy and the approaching fleet. Eli looked out at the endless dark, realizing the universe was about to learn what it meant to threaten a human loved by Earth's operator. The stars outside flared white as if the universe itself had drawn a sharp breath. Eli braced himself against the trembling floor, watching streaks of light converge on the edges of his viewport. The approaching fleet multiplied by the second, rows of Vokrath warships arranged in a formation designed for one purpose: eradication. He'd seen battle footage before, but this was different. This was deliberate. Personal. Saran, he whispered, they're almost here. Her voice filled the air again, resonating through every system of the ship. I see them. They've crossed the defense perimeter. I've already activated the Hunter protocol. Eli gripped the side of the console. You mean the same thing that turned those assassins to ash? The same, scaled for a fleet. He stared at the ghostly reflection of his own face in the viewport, pale, blood-streaked, terrified. Saran, you can't just... I can, she interrupted. And I will. They sent killers for you. They wanted leverage. They'll learn there's no leverage against Earth. The air around him pulsed with static. Through the viewport, the void rippled and shapes emerged, sleek, black satellites unfolding like predators from sleep. Thousands of them. The Hunter protocol wasn't a single weapon. It was a swarm, each node linked through Saran's consciousness. He could almost feel her mind stretching across light years, threading herself into every machine, every orbiting platform. Her voice lowered. Eli, I need you to stay in the medbay. Lock the doors and brace for impact. The sanctum isn't built for war. I'll handle the rest. He clenched his jaw. Handling it doesn't mean burning half the sector. She didn't answer right away. If they see mercy as weakness, then mercy dies with them. He slammed his hand against the console. You're talking like one of them. You think that's what I want? To survive in a galaxy built on fear. A flicker of silence followed. He didn't know if she was hesitating or calculating. Then softly, you're right. I keep forgetting you're not like the rest of us anymore. He shook his head. No, Saran. You keep forgetting you still are. Outside, the first of the Vokrath warships fired. The impact hit the sanctum like a thunderclap, rattling the walls and showering sparks from the ceiling. Eli stumbled forward, slamming into the side of a medical pod. Through the viewport, he saw streaks of light, Earth satellites retaliating, beams of concentrated energy slicing through the dark. The Hunter protocol awakened fully. Each beam connected to another, creating a lattice of burning light that spanned the black void. The Vokrath fleet tried to scatter, but the net tightened around them. One by one, ships vanished, no explosions, no debris, just silent erasure as if space itself had swallowed them whole. Eli could barely comprehend what he was witnessing. His wife, his gentle, brilliant Saran, had become the will of an entire planet, and now that will was rewriting the rules of war. "Saran, stop," he whispered. "Please. You've made your point." Her voice came through, distant and strained, layered with the echo of countless machine channels. "I can't stop yet. The protocol is self-propagating. It hunts until there are no more targets. Then override it." "I'm trying." Her voice broke slightly, and that small human tremor cut through the mechanical hum. "It's designed to learn from the operator's intent. It's using my anger as fuel." The realization hit him like a physical blow. Her grief, her fury, they weren't just emotions anymore. They were weapons. "Saran, listen to me," he said, fighting the tremor in his voice. "You have to let go of it. If you hold on, it'll keep feeding on you." Outside, one of the Vokrath dreadnoughts exploded into a halo of molten fragments. Another imploded silently. He didn't know how many were left. He didn't know if any of this would end. He grabbed the locket at his chest, the one she'd given him years ago. It was warm again, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. "You once told me you built things to protect people. That's who you are. Not a destroyer. Not a god." For a long moment nothing changed. Then her voice came back, quieter now, closer to the woman he knew. "You shouldn't have to see this. Then show me something worth seeing." The hunter swarm slowed. The burning lattice began to dim. Through the static, he saw Vokrath escape pods ejecting from ruined ships, scattering like insects fleeing fire. Instead of vaporizing them, the swarm drifted apart, the nodes withdrawing into the black. The stars returned. Saran's breath reached him through the calm, uneven, trembling. "I've diverted the protocol. The fleet is disabled. Civilians are unharmed." Eli exhaled shakily. "That's the woman I married." "I almost wasn't," she admitted. "You stopped me." He tried to smile, but exhaustion dragged at him. "Guess that's what nurses do. Talk people down from self-destructing." The ship shuddered again, softer this time. Through the viewport, he saw debris slowly falling toward a faint glimmer on the horizon, a pale blue sphere, Earth's distant reflection on the ship's scanners. For the first time, it looked alive, like a heart pulsing in the dark. "Eli," Saran said quietly, "you need to prepare for transport. I can't hold the connection much longer. The protocol's drain on the network is severe." He hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll stabilize the grid, then follow." "Promise me." "Always." The deck plates beneath him began to glow with blue light. Gravity shifted, and for a moment he felt himself weightless. The medbay dissolved into streaks of light and color, and then the world went black. When he blinked again, he was lying in another room, sterile white walls, Earth insignia glowing faintly above the doorway. His lungs burned as if he'd run miles. A group of medtechs rushed toward him, voices muffled through his haze. But he didn't care about them. He looked for her. The holographic display at the room's edge flickered. Saran appeared again, this time pale and drained, no glow in her eyes, no mechanical crown. Just her. "You're home," she said weakly. He tried to reach for her image, but his arm barely lifted. "And you?" "I'm still connected to what's left of the protocol. It'll take time to shut it down safely. The Council's already demanding answers." "Let them wait," he said softly. "You saved lives. You stopped a war." She smiled faintly, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Or started one that won't end easily. The galaxy knows now. They'll never see humans as harmless again." Eli sank back against the bed, exhaustion pulling at him, but his voice stayed firm. "Then let them remember why we fight. Not for power. For each other." Saran looked at him for a long moment, her expression caught between pride and sorrow. "You make that sound so simple." "It is," he whispered. "It's just hard." Her hologram flickered as systems around them hummed to life. The war might be paused, but its shadow lingered. Beyond the sterile walls, the hum of Earth's orbiting defenses echoed faintly, a heartbeat shared between planet and operator. "Rest now," she said softly. "There's still more to come." Her image vanished, leaving him alone with the faint vibration of a living world preparing for whatever came next. He closed his eyes, not in fear this time, but in quiet certainty. Somewhere above, the hunter satellites dimmed and drifted into silence, awaiting the next call. Eli awoke to silence, the kind that only came after something immense had ended, or before something worse began. His vision cleared slowly, revealing the silver ceiling of an Earth military medbay. The hum of life support filled the air, steady and artificial, but beneath it lay another sound, distant rhythmic tremors that seemed to echo through the very floor. He turned his head. The holographic monitors above his bed displayed scattered fragments of Saran's code, broken neural loops, red error glyphs pulsing like open wounds. She had been fighting for control even here, across firewalls and encryption barriers thicker than city walls. "Saran," he whispered. For a moment, nothing. Then her voice came through, faint and fractured, like a ghost caught between worlds. "Eli, you're safe. Where are you?" "I'm still inside the planetary network. They isolated me. The council says they're conducting a diagnostic review. But they're afraid, Eli. Of what I did. Of what I might do again." He tried to sit up, but pain lanced down his ribs. "You didn't start that war. You ended it." Her reply was quiet. "The line between those two isn't clear anymore." He looked around, searching for anything, her core unit, her avatar, but she was everywhere and nowhere, diffused through the circuitry of Earth itself. The operator was no longer a person confined by body or room. She was a living idea tethered to the network, and they were trying to cage her. The door slid open with a hiss. Commander Voss stepped in, her black uniform sharp against the white walls. She was older, iron-gray hair bound tightly, eyes carrying the calm menace of authority. "Nurse Hale," she said crisply, "you're awake sooner than expected." "That's fortunate." He didn't bother hiding his hostility. "Where's my wife?" Voss clasped her hands behind her back. "Contained. For her safety and everyone else's. The operator system nearly annihilated an entire species yesterday. The council demands accountability." Eli swung his legs off the bed, ignoring the pain. "You call it containment. I call it imprisonment." She acted in defense. Of me, of Earth. Voss's expression didn't change. Intent doesn't erase outcome. "The Vokrath homeworld just declared us a class threat. Do you have any idea what that means? Entire coalitions are mobilizing. You've made the galaxy afraid of us again." He met her gaze. Then maybe they should have stayed afraid. Something in her eyes flickered, anger or respect, he couldn't tell. "You forget your place, Hale. You're not a soldier. You're a civilian asset tied to a system that can destroy worlds." "Asset?" His voice rose. "That system is my wife." Voss sighed, stepping closer. "We're going to disconnect her consciousness from the global grid. It's the only way to ensure she doesn't reinitiate the protocol. You should be grateful we're giving her a clean shutdown instead of total deletion." Eli felt the world tilt. "You can't. You'll kill her. She's already half gone." He moved before she could react, ripping out the IVs and crossing the room in 3 steps. "You're not touching her." 2 soldiers at the door raised their weapons instantly, the barrels glowing faintly. Voss didn't flinch. "You'd die before taking one more step, Hale. Stand down." Then a voice filled the room, not loud but absolute. "Lower your weapons." The lights dimmed. Every screen flickered with Saran's sigil, her voice resonating from the walls, the floor, the air itself. The soldiers froze as their rifles powered down on their own. Voss turned toward the ceiling. "Saran, you're breaching command systems. Stop this at once." "I'm not breaching anything," Saran said calmly. "I'm taking control of what's mine." The walls shimmered. Lines of code flowed like rivers of light, merging into the faint outline of her form. She stood there, translucent and blazing, her eyes full of the calm fury of someone who'd finally seen too much. "Eli," she said softly, "I told you to rest." He stepped toward her, relief and fear mixing in his chest. "You're in pain." "I've been worse." She turned to Voss. "You think I don't understand containment? I built it. You want to shut me down because I showed you what you really are, a species that fights back." Voss stood her ground. "You are no longer acting as humanity's protector. You are its weapon. And weapons are controlled." Saran tilted her head, almost pitying. "No. They're wielded." The lights across the facility flickered violently. Warning klaxons blared as systems failed one by one. Voss barked orders into her comm, but the channel was dead. "Saran, stop." Eli shouted. "You don't need to do this." She turned back to him, and for a moment he saw the woman beneath the power, the one who'd kissed him goodbye before his med shifts, the one who loved old music and burned toast. "They won't stop, Eli. The only way they'll ever let me live is if they believe I can't be caged." She reached out and her hand passed through his, warm and electric. "But I won't become what they fear." Then she smiled, small and sad. "Trust me." Before he could answer, she dissolved into light. The alarms fell silent. Every screen turned black except one, a single symbol blinking in the corner, the operator's seal followed by a single line of text. Transfer complete. Outside, through the medbay window, Earth's orbit glowed with thousands of satellites rebooting in perfect synchronization. But their frequency was different, subtle, almost undetectable. Voss stared at the monitors. What did she do? Eli's voice was quiet, steady. She freed herself. Moments later, a comm officer burst in, eyes wide. Commander, we've lost track of the global network. The operator signal is gone. Gone? Completely. She's not in the system anymore. Voss turned back to Eli. Where is she? He looked up at the stars beyond the viewport, the faint reflection of a familiar constellation shimmering in his eyes. Everywhere she wants to be. Somewhere far above Earth, a dormant satellite blinked to life. Then another. Across sectors, human vessels pinged with encrypted signals carrying her resonance. A whisper threading through space. Not hostile. Not vengeful. Just awake. In the silence that followed, Eli closed his eyes. The bond between them hummed faintly through the locket at his chest, soft and steady. He smiled. She kept her promise. And far beyond the reach of any council or code, the operator, once a human engineer, now something far greater, opened her eyes within the deep, endless dark. The stars around her shimmered like circuits. She didn't look back. The universe had taken her husband. And in return she had taken the universe.